develop. What about Clayton Oliver, fellas? Was up there on the boat we saw, having Subway and some sparkling water.
With a trading day boat catch-up. It's taking us out.
But there's been a development on this front today.
Yeah, so Clayton Oliver, we understand, has done a medical at the Giants. He's toured Giants HQ today just to further progress the possibility that he goes there. I think it would be a fit for him, obviously, to go up there. We know Collingwood, of course, also have flagged their interest. Justin Lepich even flagged this morning on radio that a contingent, a delegation might be going up to Sydney to try and meet with Clayton Oliver and just pick his brain on a potential move and do their due diligence, which you've heard so much of this trade period. But it seems like the Giants hold the whip hand here when it comes to getting Clayton Oliver, if it's the right fit and if he is the one to buy in.
I think it's a great fit. This gets him out of the Melbourne bubble. The irony is that Clayton Oliver's camp begged Melbourne to do this deal to Geelong 12 months ago, and then now it's a fire sale.
Giving him away.
Melbourne are going to have to pay $700,000 of his salary to play at GWS, so he could be a $600,000 player for the Giants, and importantly, helps fix the Giants' clearance game, Joey, which is a major priority.
Well, that's it. It just makes it a much more viable option for the Giants to get a quality midfielder, without having to give up too much. Now, I said last night, he's no longer probably going to be the All-Australian Clayton Oliver, the multiple best and fairest winner that we saw a few years ago, but he is still a very good inside midfielder in the competition. And you spoke about the GWS Giants and their deficiencies. They are a midfielder or two short in there, and in particular their clearance and contest game has been an issue. So this was their season 2025, where they ranked in between the arcs. So this in the midfield zone of the ground. Their contested possession, clearance differential and ground balls was a big factor. It's the reason why they played so much of the game out of their back half and relied on their tsunami. That's not by design. They don't want to play that way. They were forced to because they just weren't winning enough contests in the middle of the ground. But if you take a look at Clayton Oliver's year this year, and a lot of people were critical of his season, and he didn't have a great year, let's be honest. He was 7th in the best and fairest, but this is what he can do. This is where he ranked in the competition. He was 11th in the competition for contested possessions between the arcs, 13th in the competition for clearances between the arcs, and he's still ranked inside the top 30 for ground ball. So you are still getting a player who is great at his craft in what he can do. Yes, he has some other deficiencies in his game. We understand that. But he just complements Finn Callaghan and Tom Green now, particularly with some concerns about Josh Kelly. Xavier O'Halloran was really their third midfielder towards the back end of the season. So it's a hole that they need to fill.
That's my only concern is the Tom Green factor. They are very similar players. Yeah. You're not worried about that at all. It caused a bit of a pause for Adrian Caruso when he fronted the media yesterday. He started talking about how Tom Green's running patterns are getting better and better, but that's not what we know from his game either.
Yeah, it's not probably the perfect combination, but it's very hard to get, and I think they can work together and complement each other. Tom Green can continue to evolve his game, and Callaghan they can use a bit more on the outside and use his strengths. So I think it is a real need that the Giants will go for.
I think the Giants could get an answer from Clayton Oliver over the next 24, 48 hours about an official trade request.
Well, you speak about insurance before with Jamari Ugle-Hagan. Josh Kelly, as the Giants have flagged, to get that hip resurfacing, which is going to rule him out for a large part of 2026. So, yes, they might not be the exact same player, but that is certainly a very handy person to bring in to fill the void.
And if Tom Green goes down, well, their midfield is shot, really, so they need him anyway.
They're going to tweak their game style, and I think Clayton Oliver can help add that extra weapon to the midfield. Joshy, what's the latest on Oscar Allen and Brandon Starcevich?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of confusion about this yesterday when the list bosses fronted and talked about Oscar Allen potentially involved in trades. He will not be involved in a trade. That's definitely a free agency deal. Just if anyone's confused out there, West Coast is not going anywhere near surrendering that pick 2 that they will get. But I think the way it will work is he will go first. That will sign. He hasn't done that officially yet. And then they'll knock over the Starcevich deal once they know the full parameters around it and they're confirmed about pick 2. So that's why there's a bit of a hold-up. I think there is still some movement going on. They're making progress on Starcevich. West Coast doesn't want to give up pick 16 to get him in the door, but they're talking on that and they'll work that through. But Allen will go first and then Starcevich will go through as a trade after that.
What's the hold-up on Allen? Why haven't they just been able to sign off on that deal that probably would have been negotiated on 6 months ago?
Yeah, well, they're still just discussing the parameters around it. That's what's the word out of the Allen camp today, is that he's done all his work. They've done what they want. He's agreed to terms, essentially. But they're still discussing how it fits in with Starcevich and whether there's any potential ramifications. So it's a little bit confusing, but he will be signing on a bumper contract, and I think we all expect that will be the pick 2 compensation.
We haven't seen his best footy for a couple of years. Oscar Allen, he exploded a couple of years ago where he saw him really have some impact deep forward for the Eagles, but a couple of years out with injuries, he's got to be a fascinating watch to see what sort of impact he can have for the reigning Premier, who will attempt to go for 3 flags in a row.